Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in on this fine Friday early afternoon. I'm going to be giving you guys 5 players you need to stop what you're doing and trade for immediately when it comes to fantasy football. We're going on to week 2 right now. It's currently Friday. This is a phenomenal buying window. You're going to get a lot of fantasy owners who get really overreactionary. They take a very small sample size of 1 or 2 games and they get angry. They want to trade one of their star players. Maybe their first round pick isn't performing. This is the time to wield and deal when it comes to fantasy football. I'm going to be giving you guys 5 players to buy low on and then 5 players to sell high on. So let's get right into this, starting with number 5 on the buy low. These are players you should be trading for. It is Austin Ekeler, and admittedly, this one's kind of a stretch. Ekeler had a decent week 1, but he did something very uncharacteristic. Folks, Austin Ekeler did not receive a target in week 1. Mind-blowing. So he's a PPR machine. He's been phenomenal. Last year he was injured, but when he's played, he's been absolutely great. I have huge confidence in Austin Ekeler. My guess is owners will probably want you to give up full price for a guy like Austin Ekeler, but he did only put up 12 points in week 1. It's just something I found so irregular. Austin Ekeler, 0 targets week 1. Maybe he's somebody you could kind of wield and deal for, but I'm guessing most fantasy owners will want full price for him. He was a first-round investment. That's why he's only number 5 on my list. Moving on to number 4, it is Brandon Aiyuk. Really odd situation with Brandon Aiyuk. There's been some recent reports this week that he wasn't performing well in practice. There was an injury. Maybe that was the cause for the 0 reception game he had against Detroit. Guys, there were a lot of things going against Brandon Aiyuk in week 1. The biggest being game script, I would say, and also his injury. The game script, San Francisco was up, I believe, 38 to 10 in the early third quarter. We know Deebo Samuel went off. That was good to see. He had a lot of points. That's not going to happen every week. This was a first-round investment by the San Francisco 49ers, 25th pick overall, played phenomenally down the stretch, has great talent, 0 catches. People are going to overreact. They're going to get angry. They see the Kyle Shanahan report of him maybe not performing up to standards when it comes to practice. People are going to panic. This is a guy you want to buy low on. Him and Deebo are 1A, 1B in that offense. Completely buy low on Brandon Aiyuk at this point early in the season. Number 3, it is Kyle Pitts. I love this one. So you've got Kyle Pitts. You've got a young rookie who performs poorly in week 1. People are going to get overzealous. They're going to get angry. He's a guy that you can kind of buy low on. I think Kyle Pitts will be absolutely fine. It was a weird game in terms of Atlanta being down the whole game. The game script you would figure favoring guys like Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts. Neither of them performed very well, but I think it's a little bit of an aberration. Calm down if you're in need of a tight end, which I know a lot of people are. Tight end is a very thin position. Many people streaming tight ends. You want to get a stable guy you can plug in and week out. Kyle Pitts is a rookie. People are going to be pissed he played poorly week 1. We'll see what he does week 2, but early on in the season, he's a guy, if you need a tight end, you could target him and get him for cheap. Number 2, it is Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke, obviously, week 1, he had everything going against him. Let's be real, guys. When it comes to, the Dallas Cowboys game plan was, we're not going to run the ball. I kept hearing people say, Dallas just completely abandoned the run against Tampa Bay. No, they didn't even run it to begin with. There was they came into that game and said, we will not test this Buccaneers front. We will attack their secondary. That's where they're weak. This is the best run defense in the NFL. That was going against Zeke. I will say, when you're a Zeke owner, you do have to cringe a little bit when you see Tony Pollard in the game getting carries in the second quarter. Yeah, we could do without that. But overall, you have to understand this Dallas offense, they're going to score a lot of points. They're so explosive with Dak, with all those receivers. I know Michael Gallup got injured, but still, those top 2 receivers, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, they're so explosive. Still a decent offensive line. They're getting Zach Martin back this week. So Zeke's a guy, maybe someone's pissed. Maybe they're seeing Pollard go in. He didn't have a good week 1. You could get him for a good value. Again, any starting running back that you can get for cheap, do it. With the way running backs are now in the NFL, everyone's looking for those, starting running backs for fantasy. They're so hard to come by. Zeke's a guy, maybe an owner's pissed. He's going to get a lot of goal line looks with Dallas and that high-powered offense. And my number 1 player to buy low on right now It is Saquon Barkley, and I actually waited to do this video. I wanted to see what Saquon did last night in the Thursday night game. That was a fun Thursday night game, by the way. The Giants and Washington. Washington ended up winning. But guys, Saquon Barkley is this close to being back. It's all about trust, post-injury in the legs. He had a rough, really bad injury. He looks close. He had a big 40, 50-yard one. I've said this from the beginning. I think Saquon Barkley, pound for pound, is the most talented running back in the NFL. And once he gets fully back, he's going to be loading up 20 to 25 touches a game. Phenomenal receiving back out of the backfield. Saquon Barkley, guys, people, he was falling in drafts to 10th or 11th overall, so people are already down on him. He has a, really bad week 1 against a very tough defense in Denver where he didn't play a lot. Week 2, he's kind of getting back a little bit, had one big run, but still not a huge output that's going to make him, hard to trade for. There's going to be owners 2 weeks in that panic about Saquon. You can get him for not dirt cheap, but for a cheaper price. I would absolutely do that. So those are the top 5 buy low candidates. Now when it comes to selling high, guys that performed really well in week 1, maybe people overreacting. Maybe you're playing with some noobs who just look at the overall total points and see a player had a lot of points and say, I should trade for him. That's where this comes in. That's where you can really rip people off. Coming in at number 5, this is a player you should be selling right now. This is Mike Williams. Mike Williams' target share was completely out of the ordinary week 1. There's zero chance Austin Ekeler is going to be seeing 0 targets compared to Mike Williams getting, 12 or 13 targets. Mike Williams is a guy I wasn't high on to begin with. He's second in that pecking order when it comes to receipt. Maybe third. Maybe he's behind both Ekeler and obviously Keenan Allen. I am selling high on Mike Williams. I don't think that target share has any chance of continuing with the Chargers. Number 4, it is Tyler Lockett. This is really just a personal preference, and I always say this to people about Tyler Lockett. He always does this. It's 3 or 4 games a year where he scores all his points. All the other games, he doesn't do anything. Okay, now this is one of those games. What did he have? 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great game, right? But guys, this is what he does. The next 3 or 4 weeks, it's probably going to be pretty rough. Then he'll put up a huge game. I don't like players like that. I like consistency. I like, a player giving me 16 points 1 week, 18 points, 14 points, 17 points, instead of giving me 30 points, 5 points, 7 points. Tyler Lockett's a guy, I just don't like the philosophy. You know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get big booming games, but you're going to get a lot of duds also. Look at his game logs from a year ago. And you can really see it's just crazy when you think about it. So Tyler Lockett, big week 1. DK Metcalf, still the clear number 1 receiver in that offense, but Tyler Lockett did outperform for him. I would be looking to sell high on Lockett. Not that I think he's going to have a terrible year, but we know what Tyler Lockett is. He's a big play guy. He'll give you 30 points 1 week, and then he'll combine to give you 30 points the next 3 weeks. Moving on to number 3, it is Corey Davis. Corey Davis had a lot of things go right in this game against the Carolina Panthers. The game script, they were down the whole game. Zach Wilson was throwing. I know there are a lot of Corey Davis truthers out there who love Corey Davis and are really high on him. I think he's going to be streaky at best this year. You also have to understand that's a really bad Jets offense. They're going to be in a lot of low-scoring games. It's going to be hard for them to really generate much. They also have a terrible running game, so maybe that helps Corey Davis get more targets. But just overall, I think this is a really streaky player who did find the end zone twice, mainly based off of a positive game script. You also have to understand Zach Wilson, rookie quarterback, right? It's tough with rookie quarterbacks. Some weeks they're really bad, other weeks they're decent. I don't love Corey Davis. If you can throw him into a trade and maybe a noob sees how many points he had week 1, you could really rip somebody off. Moving on to number 2, it is Melvin Gordon, guys. I would highly advise at this point selling Melvin Gordon shares. This is probably more so for a 12 or a 14 team league. 10 team leagues. Melvin Gordon's not very valuable at all, but maybe in a 14-team league, you could really wheeled and dealed when it comes to trading Melvin Gordon. I think Javonte Williams is going to be the clear number 1 running back in that backfield by week 5 or week 6. They invested the 35th overall pick into him, and Melvin Gordon had that long touchdown run, so you could really say, Melvin Gordon still got it. He had, 15, 20 points. I don't know how many points he finished up with, but that's just an annoying committee. I would never start Melvin Gordon with any confidence unless Javonte Williams got injured or something happened to him. It's just an annoying committee where Melvin Gordon Gordon will be stuck at best getting 50-50 timeshare touches, and I just don't like that personally. Take advantage of his big week one in a deeper league. 10-team leagues, Melvin Gordon, he's probably on the waiver wire in half of these leagues, but 12-team and especially like a 14 or a 16-team league, Melvin Gordon's going to be an asset to people. You could really try and swing a trade. Maybe I would offer, maybe you need a tight end, maybe Melvin Gordon for Kyle Pitts. I'm just throwing that. I don't know. I'd offer it, guys. You don't know until you try. And then number one, when it comes to selling high, my number one player I would completely trade off this instant. It is Antonio Gibson. And for you guys who don't know, I've said probably since June that I think Antonio Gibson is this year's Kenyon Drake. I watched him last night on Thursday Night Football. He ran hard, but guys, he really hasn't done much these first 2 weeks. I've said it from the beginning. He's a complete bust. You can still get something for him now. Again, he didn't look too bad last night, but they're going to use J.D. McKissic. He's going to take into those targets from Antonio Gibson, and that is horrible. Especially, Antonio Gibson going 16th, 17th overall in some of these drafts, not being able to get those PPR points because J.D. McKissic, the pass-catching running back, is on the field. When you talk about the 2-minute drills, Antonio Gibson will be on the sideline. When you talk about when, Washington is down, Antonio Gibson will be on the sideline. Please, he still has value. You can still trade him. Get rid of Antonio Gibson while you can. Get something for him. And guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I am, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.